My Unsolved Mystery. One of my favorite television shows is Unsolved Mysteries, possibly because I have so many unsolved mysteries myself. Take the mystery of the ducks in the fireplace, for instance. A couple of years ago, my wife Bun and I went up to our river cabin for a weekend. The day was a little chilly, so I decided to build a fire. I opened the screen on the fireplace, and there was a dead duck, a mallard hen, reposing on the grate. "Hey, there's a duck in the fireplace," I told Bun. She approached cautiously. "This better not be one of your stupid jokes. My gosh, there really is a duck in the fireplace. Are you sure it's dead?" No, ducks always sleep on their backs with feet sticking up. Of course it's dead. Don't pull your woods lore on me, Bun snapped. If a duck is dumb enough to fly down a chimney, it's dumb enough to sleep on its back. Well, therein lay the mystery, of course. Ducks aren't dumb enough to fly down chimneys. I tried to imagine the duck perching on the chimney, losing its balance and falling in. It was pretty hard to imagine. Mallard ducks don't usually perch on anything higher than a floating log, let alone chimneys. "How about this?" Bun said. "The duck is flying over the house and has a fatal heart attack and drops right down the chimney." "Ducks don't have heart attacks," I explained. "Oh, yeah? You're so smart. What do they have, then?" "I'll tell you what they have. They have coyotes and weasels and foxes to do them in." "So you're saying a coyote was flying over the house and dropped the duck down our chimney? Is that it?" "No, that's not it. I'm saying—" "Well, all right. I suppose it is possible the duck had a heart attack just as it was passing over our house, and its trajectory was such that it went down the hole in the chimney. In fact, I'm sure that was it. Satisfied?" "She probably had a heart attack because of all the stress of having to put up with a cranky old duck husband. That's what I think," Bun said. "Now go give her a proper burial. She at least deserves that, after all her years of slaving over—" All right, I was about to add. Spare me the lecture on duck feminism, but thought better of it. I took the duck out and chucked it into the burn barrel, first scanning the woods for feminists. You never know. A couple of weeks ago, Bun and I drove up to the cabin for a few days of fishing. As she was walking by the fireplace, Bun noticed ashes all over the floor. "Look at those ashes," she shouted. "It's just like you and your old buddy Wretch Sweeney to leave a mess like that." I stared at the ashes. "We're innocent," I said, tidily knocking out my pipe in a flower pot. "We'd never leave ashes all over the floor like that. What kind of slobs do you think we are?" "Is that a multiple choice or essay?" "Oh, for heaven's sake, go get the vacuum so I can clean up these ashes." After Bun had vacuumed the ashes, we went out on the dock and caught a few perch for supper. I offered to flip a coin to see who cleaned the fish, but Bun was still miffed about the ashes on the floor and refused me even a sporting chance. She headed into the house to make a salad, while I dumped the perch on my fish-cleaning table. Before I had cleaned a single fish, Bun bounded out into the yard. "What in the world have you been up to now?" she shouted. I really hate vague questions like that. "Give me a category," I said. "Slobs," she replied. "There are ashes all over the floor again, just after I cleaned them up." "You're my alibi," I said. "You've been with me the whole time. You think I have some kind of occult power that enables me to blow ashes all over the floor while I'm fishing off the dock?" I went in to investigate. Sure enough, ashes all over the floor. I opened the glass screen on the fireplace, and there was another duck, a live duck. The duck was wedged between the wall of the fireplace and the grate. It beat its wings and sent a cloud of ash over my head. Coughing, I stepped back and closed the screen, which obviously didn't keep the ashes from billowing onto the floor. "What is it?" Bun asked nervously, her hands trembling about her mouth. I've noticed that every time we encounter one of these strange occurrences, Bun gets a look in her eyes similar to that of a sprinter tensely poised on the starting blocks. She projects a strong sense of about to take off. "Just the usual duck in the fireplace," I said, wiping ash out of my eyes. "This one's alive, though." "I can't believe it," Bun gasped. "How in the world could another duck get into our fireplace?" "Couldn't have been a fatal heart attack this time," I said, scratching my head. "Maybe a bad case of indigestion, but not a heart attack." "Well, don't just stand there. Get the poor thing out." I opened the screen and reached in to rescue the duck, who responded by flailing its wings and filling my eyes and lungs with ash, not to mention clamping its bill onto the tips of my fingers. Blinded and choking on ash, I danced around trying to shake the enraged duck loose. "Don't hurt it!" Bun screamed. "Don't hurt it!" Over half a century of poking around the woods and mountains, I have rescued several dozen wild creatures from life-threatening situations. Almost none ever expressed an iota of gratitude. Instead, they have attempted to bite me, peck me, claw me, scratch me, gore me, even as I rendered them the service. The only one to repay the favor of my rescuing it was a skunk when I was 8 years old, and it spent all of its resources to purchase my freedom from school for a whole week. In my experience, however, that skunk was unique among wild creatures for its kindness and generosity. Now I was once again involved in an act of rescue, this time of an unappreciative duck, which I finally managed to subdue. I carried it outside, where Bun hosed the two of us off with a stream of icy well water, apparently forgetting that I had access to a hot shower. De-ashed, the duck turned out to be another mallard hen. "Maybe we should take her into the vet and get her checked out," Bun said. "To a psychiatrist, maybe," I replied, examining the flattened tips of my fingers. "But I can tell you with absolute certainty that I'm not taking a duck to a vet, and that's final." I carried the duck down to the river and tossed her into the air. Her wings and quacker still worked fine, much to my relief, because it's a 30-mile drive to the nearest vet. She had her throttle wide open by the time she cleared my hands and zoomed off like a duck out of a fireplace. The last I saw of her, she was rounding a distant bend in the river. Good riddance, too. The mystery remains unsolved. How did not one, but two ducks get into my fireplace? Or rather, why? Obviously, they had to come down the chimney. Have the ducks cooked up a plot against me merely because I have cooked up a few ducks? The only theory I have, excluding the occult, is that an eagle or hawk snatches up a duck and then lands on my chimney to enjoy its meal. As soon as the claws relaxed, the duck zips down the hole in the chimney. The eagle or hawk looks down at its claws and thinks, "Am I losing my mind? I could have sworn I just caught a duck." Here's a word of advice for anyone who finds a duck in his or her fireplace. Don't mention it to anyone. Innocently, I told my friend Dave Lysias that I'd found a dead duck in my fireplace. He looked at me with that odd, startled expression he gets when I report one of my strange occurrences to him. Then he doubled over and started emitting high-pitched squeals that I assumed were somehow expressions of mirth. Dave is strange. Once, on a hunting trip, we were sitting out a 3-day storm in my pickup camper, and I casually mentioned to him that I had fallen out of a moving bus when I was 5 years old and landed on my head. Dave laughed so hard he almost fell out of the overcab bunk, which would have served him right. "What's so funny?" I asked him. It explains so much," he cried, wiping his eyes. Really, I don't know why I hang out with Dave. The guy is so weird. I'd forgotten about Dave's reaction to my report of the first duck in my fireplace. Otherwise, I certainly would never have mentioned the second duck to him. "What? Another one?" he shrieked. "It can't be true. You're just telling me this so I'll die laughing. You're trying to kill me. Stop." Aha, I thought. The perfect crime. "Yes, another duck in my fireplace," I shouted at him. "This one's alive. It nearly blinded me by beating ash into my eyes." Dave was down on his knees now, gasping, holding up his hands, pleading with me to stop. I decided to finish him off. Furthermore, it bit me on the tips of my fingers. Very painful. A duck bite. Bit his fingers, Dave groaned in agony. Unfortunately, Dave survived to spread the story of my 2 ducks around town. Every time I stop by Kelly's Bar and Grill, some joker asks if I've found any more ducks in my fireplace, and all the Kelly irregulars stand around with these great big stupid grins on their faces. Or maybe I go into Gert's Gas and Grub for lunch, and Gert comes up with her little pad and asks, "What's it gonna be, ducky?" Always gets a big laugh. Or I'm at home and my phone rings. "Hello, Pat. This is Robert Stack, host of Unsolved Mysteries. I have a few questions to ask you about the ducks in your fireplace. First, have you noticed any spaceships hovering over your house recently? Or, I know, of course, that it's not really Robert Stack. For one thing, Mr. Stack isn't the sort of person to burst into hysterical giggles when he says the word ducks. Very funny, I say, and hang up. You'd think a wife would have better things to do than make crank calls."